Hello and welcome to This Week in Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. This Week in Agriculture is a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. On this week's presentation, we focus on the highlights of Agriculture Minister's activities this past week, ending October 30. And of course, he has been rather busy, and we will be bringing you at least 3 of those engagements so that you may be aware of the impact those interventions are expected to have on the local agriculture sector. This Week in Agriculture is produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and Advertising based in East Berbice.
Farmers and the members of the public in general are being advised that tampering with drainage and irrigation structures in any way is prohibited under the Drainage and Irrigation Act. So too are practices that result in damage to access dams, such as using an inadequate length of tube to irrigate farmlands, resulting in erosion of the earthen dams. Also contrary to the Drainage and Irrigation Act is the practice of erecting structures or planting on government reserves. This will not be condoned. These reserves are to be clear at all times to provide access for the excavation of the channels. Livestock farmers should also be aware that they are liable for any damages caused by their cattle or swine to dams or reserves alongside D&I channels, as is the case when the animals cross these channels. Individuals wishing to erect bridges across D&I structures should first contact the NDIA before doing so. Those found guilty under the Act are liable to fines and imprisonment for up to 3 months. A message from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture.
As part of its annual Pesticides Awareness Week of activities for Agriculture Month, the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board handed over certificates of competence to several young pesticide applicators. The event was held Tuesday last at the Impeccable Banquet Hall and featured a graduation and awards ceremony for persons who participated in the board's Pesticides Application and Management Training Program. A total of 23 persons are now equipped with the knowledge of how to properly handle and apply pesticides and other dangerous chemicals inside and outside of buildings as well as in open spaces. In brief remarks, Registrar of the Pesticide Board, Ms. Tricia David Garnath, said the graduation exercise comes as not only Guyana observes this week of activities celebrating chemicals management, but an entire region is also celebrating in similar fashion.
It's symbolic because this week, in every one of our neighboring countries in the Caribbean, we're all spending the entire week, and hopefully what we hope to do is raise as much awareness as possible about pesticides, both their benefits and the risk. Pesticide Awareness Week at this junction, Guyana is chairing the coordinating group of Pesticides Control Board of the Caribbean. And so at this junction, Guyana is actually championing this year the observance of Pesticide Awareness Week. And so today it's a great honor that during this week, and I'm hoping that you would have seen already, much is being placed in the print media, on the radio. How many of you have been listening to the radio in the mornings and getting our little updates on the week of activities and those little catchphrases and the theme? I'm hoping you have been, because it's on all the stations. So whichever one you're listening to, you should have heard. But also in the print media this week, you would see a lot of public awareness material aimed at not only those that are working in the chemical industry and our farmers, but also for the general public. And that's because pesticides are not only used in agriculture in Guyana, but they're also used by a lot of homeowners in our country. And today, I'm pleased that we're having the graduation and award ceremony for those persons who would have been trained and certified as pesticide applicators by the board. Our training and awareness program and our certification programs are one of our largest undertakings. They were implemented by the board since 2008. And one of the things that I really wanted to highlight today is they're not just done because we want to train. They're not just done because we want to certify. But our legislation is quite comprehensive. And so today is actually a realization of something that is actually founded in our legislative mandate. If you go into the legislation, you would see it's very specific. It says before you can handle, use, and apply pesticides and operate as a pesticide applicator, it says what knowledge you must possess. And that's because these chemicals that we're dealing with, and a lot of times we see them, we use them, without considering the fact that they're poisons and they're dangerous. So today's activity, and that's what I'm most grateful for, is actually founded in our legislative mandate and the agenda of the board. And so every time we've done training, every time we've held an educational program, every time we've done a certification and awareness exercise, it's built on what the legislation requires, ensuring that every pesticide user in Guyana is knowledgeable of the product they're about to use, and that most importantly, they use it in a manner that they protect themselves and the environment.
In delivering the feature address to the graduates, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa noted that their training in the safe use and management of dangerous chemicals comes at an important juncture in Guyana's development, and their knowledge and services will be in great demand, not only in the agriculture sector, but in other sectors as well.
Today, when our country is about to take off, we are seeing development taking place in all the sectors. The agriculture sector, more importantly the oil and gas sector. We have seen the mining sectors. And why I'm mentioning these sectors, because you will not be only serving the agriculture sector, you will be serving all the sectors that need guidance, that need to use these chemicals. And you as the applicators, you are the person who will ensure that these things are used in a safe way. You will be responsible to ensure that these sectors develop. We have seen the positiveness of, or the positive way we have used chemical to enhance our production, to ensure that we develop the various sectors. But also, over the years, we have seen the negative impact and chemicals and pesticides to our population. And we have to ensure that we continue the education. You are the persons who have been trained. You are not only to be in one sector or work with one category of the population, but you are the person who will help us or help the country to disseminate those information and education to the populace out there. So I am relying on your effort here today. That is why I want to commend the board for starting this initiative. I don't see it as an initiative that is in a narrow way, that you're only concentrating on one sector. As I see it, is an initiative that will help us in the all-round development of our country. I also know that sometimes we don't see people practice the safe use of these chemicals. We have seen a number of reports, especially in rural areas. Farmers take it for granted. They use the chemical without any protective gear. They use the chemical without any proper instructions. They just use it how we used, or how their foreparents used to use it decades ago. But their foreparents would have survived. But today, when we are going and our country is moving forward, we have to ensure that the population, especially the productive sector in the population, use the chemical, use the pesticide correctly. We have to do that, and that rests on you, the people who have been trained.
The Agriculture Minister said the activity is an important one and charged the graduates to be ever conscious of the role they have chosen for themselves in the general development of the country.
And my charge to you is, you have the knowledge, use it and share it with others. You have been equipped with the knowledge. And certification and all other programs implemented by the board must not be seen as a regulatory hurdle. The board understands the danger, and so while they monitor, a key role is to protect our people and environment. So for the applicators graduating today, I want to encourage you, as the teams say, our action or our future. In other words, do the right thing now to safeguard the next generation. I am pleased today also as Minister to announce that for the first time, the board is introducing a gold standard award for sound chemicals management. These awards are for a number of stakeholders that the board manages and seeks to encourage mostly our private sector, and I hope Mr. Tucker is here. They will take advantage of this to protect their employees, customer and environment. Since taking office, our government has expressed our vision for the agriculture sector in Guyana. We want a sustainable agriculture sector. Sound chemical management is a key component of this sustainability. So we are creating the platform, laying the foundations, and establishing the initiative and incentives to drive this vision forward.
Minister Mustafa also called on the graduates to rise to the challenge that lay ahead, as they will be called on to play a key supporting role as Guyana's agriculture sector grows and expands.
We are seeing that the agriculture sector, we are moving rapidly. We are opening up new lands. We are opening up more lands to farmers, more opportunities. We are seeing our livestock industries taking shape to move forward. We are seeing a number of investors, both locally and internationally, coming into the agriculture sector. That means that you have a very, very important role to play. You will have to give the support to all the sectors, including the agriculture sector, where we are seeing this kind of investment. The rice sector, the livestock sector, the crop sectors. We are now also embarking rapidly and advancing our agro-processing sector, where we are building agro-processing facilities around the country in various regions, not only around Georgetown, to make it an urban project. We are, as I am speaking here today, we will be building 6 agro-processing facilities in places like Arnaputa, Deep South in Region 9, Watuka in Region 10, Blackbush Polder in Region 6. So you could see that we are moving the sector and we are moving it rapidly, and your skill set that you would have learned for the last week that you are in that training will become very important for us to continue the development of this sector.
On Wednesday, Minister Mustafa oversaw the signing of nearly $400 million in contracts for the further advancement of the agriculture sector. The signing ceremony was conducted in the ministry's main boardroom at the Regent Street office. Among the contracts signed was for the rehabilitation of the 18 kilometers of the main access road at Ichuni to Kama in Region 10. This piece of roadway, when completed, will provide improved access to thousands of acres of farmlands. Equipment supply contracts were also signed between contractors and Agriuclture and the new GMC. Speaking just before the signing, the Agriculture Minister spoke of how important the effective execution of the contracts were to the development of the agriculture sector.
And these are some of the projects that remain to complete our work program for the year. So these are very important projects for us, especially places like Agriuclture. We have contracts that will be signed for Agriuclture today, GMC, and NDIA. And these are important contracts because For example, now we are embarking on new crops in the intermediate savanna. We have already started a trial there with a private sector group, and the trial is looking very good in terms of production. We have started soya, and you have heard the president talking about embarking on new crops. And we have started the corn and soya in the intermediate savanna, and the trial looked very promising. So we'll be doing the infrastructural work. And there are roads that has to be built, silos to be built, and dryers and so to install there. So today we'll be awarding a contract for 18.5 kilometer of road in the intermediate savanna access road. And that contract is to the tune of $261 million. This project has been awarded to Castello Engineering Incorporated, is here? Yes, here. And they are also working in the intermediate savanna. Then we have three contracts for Gaisuco, extension of the sugar storage bond at Blaymont. That has been awarded to Memorex at a cost of $82 million. You know that we have recapitalizing in Gaisuco, because Gaisuco is poised to, we want to change the fortune of Gaisuco, so to speak. And over the years, we have seen a number of areas that needed repairs and rehabilitation. So over the years, over the last year, we have been trying to do those things and recapitalize in Gaisuco. So we'll be extend the sugar storage bond at Blairmont. Also, two pieces of equipment that will be supplied by Farm Supplies. We got a motor road grader and a vibratory compactor road roller, two at a cost of $13.8 million and $19 million respectively. And then we have the new GMC. They have the supply equipment for agro-processing facilities. In Region 5, we are building a new agro-processing facility at Fort Wellington. And we are purchasing equipment there so we can enhance our produce in terms of making it more value-added.
Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa's dream of a thriving, value-added sector for agriculture products in Guyana moved a step closer to reality Friday with the sod-turning ceremony for a multi-million-dollar milk pasteurization plant at Onverwacht, West Coast Berbice. Amaya Milk Plant is the brainchild of Guyanese Canadian remigrant Mr. Umkar Sharma, which has already seen an initial investment of 150 million Guyana dollars. The sod-turning ceremony was attended by Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa and Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, the Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana, head of Go Invest, among other dignitaries. In brief remarks, Amaya's chief Umkar Sharma related how he is turning a dream he has had for many years into reality.
I've lived in one of the greatest nations for the last 18 years. 12 of which was spent in the dairy sector in various capacities. During that time, I've worked at various capacities on many dairy installations in Canada, the US, and the Caribbean. And so many times, as I'm going about my duties, I would think about how awesome it would be to do that in Guyana. When I was an installation engineer, I would think about how cool it would be to be turning bolts in Guyana. When I became a project manager, I would think about doing installations in Guyana, how awesome that would be. And then as I settled into my role, supporting farmers and dealers, thought kept coming back, why can't I be doing this in Guyana? The reality check for that always has been that Guyana does not have a dairy industry that is capable of supporting the type of jobs that I was doing. Over the last 7 or 8 years, I would make regular trips to Guyana, to the Caribbean, to support customers there. And I would hop over to Guyana for a couple of days. And one of the constant and recurring thoughts that I would have on those trips is, why not Guyana? We have all of the conditions for a successful dairy sector. We have the land, we have the animals, we have the people, we have the knowledge. So why not us? Why can't we have a successful operation? At some point during these ruminations, the thought became, well, why don't you do it? Nobody else is going to do it. Why don't you do it? Over the last 6 years, that thought became stronger. But the immediate answer at that time was that the conditions were not right. But I knew that situation would not persist. So I started to plan this project in the background while we waited for the inevitable. When Dr. Ali was elected as president, and he invited the diaspora to come back and invest in Guyana, I knew that the time had come. His decision not to rely on oil and gas for Guyana growth, not to solely rely on oil and gas for Guyana's growth, was heartening. His focus on agriculture was music to my ears. When I saw the hard work put in by our Honorable Minister of Agriculture, as he tirelessly works to promote agriculture in Guyana, and the efforts of Dr. Ramsarup to attract investment to Guyana and to make that process as easy as possible, I knew that this government meant business and that this project will succeed. It was this knowledge that gave me the confidence to pack my equipment into a container, hop on a plane, and come back here to make my dream a reality. And the fact that we are here today, about to start this project, about to start construction, shows that that confidence was not misplaced. We are here today not only to mark the start of construction of this milk processing facility, but also the start of an organized and functioning dairy sector in Guyana. We are now on our way to truly becoming the breadbasket of the Caribbean.
In delivering remarks, Agriculture Minister Mustafa said the sod-turning ceremony is testimony to the growing interest of investors in investing in Guyana's agriculture sector, explaining that the investment climate is an open and business-friendly one through the efforts of the government over the last year.
Today is a very important day in this region because we are seeing an investment, as we heard just now, over or close to about 150 million Guyana dollars. An investment that will create jobs for the community and at the same time engage our farmers so that they can have an avenue and have a place to sell and make money in terms of cattle rearing now, to sell their dairy product and milk to this company. And these are the things that we have had in our program when we said that we will improve agriculture. And as a government, whilst we are now an emerging oil and gas producing country, you could see the effort and energies that we are putting in the non-oil sector in our country to develop our economy. Because we recognize the importance of the agriculture sector. And we don't want to be caught like the rest or other countries that are producing oil, where many times what we saw, they have been neglecting the agriculture sector and concentrating on one sector. And my good friend and colleague Dr. Singh will tell you as an economist that a country's economy must not rely only on one sector, that we must have all the sectors, we must develop all the sectors, and the country's economy must be based on these sectors so that it could withstand shocks. And like other countries, to develop Guyana, we are developing all the sectors. Today, agriculture, we are seeing the importance of agriculture. We are seeing a renewed sense of activities. We are seeing now we are seeing a renewed interest in the agriculture sector over the last year. Many persons who had called it a day prior to August of last year are back in the agriculture sector. Why? They have seen the investment that we have made over the year. They have seen the activities in this sector, and they've seen the opportunities that exists in the agriculture sector. So today I am very happy that we are here for this turn-in ceremony for the Amaya milk plant. And it's fitting that we are doing it in Agriculture Month, just 6 months after we have signed the MOU with Go Invest. And I remember vividly that the founder of this investment and myself have had a virtual meeting prior to this commencement of this investment. And I told him when we had that meeting, he was in Canada, and I told him that, look, investment in this country is very easy and simple. And we'll be making it very simple because all the red tapes and all the bureaucracy that existed before, we will ensure that you don't have to go through those things anymore. That will make investment very simple. And lo and behold, 6 months after the signing of the MOU, we are now at reality stage where we are turning the sod for the construction of this milk plant.
Speaking to the value of the project for Region 5, the minister noted that Region 5 is the leading region for the production of milk and beef in Guyana, and as such stands to benefit the most from the establishment of the milk pasteurization plant in the region.
Region 5 is a very important agricultural region for us. The largest in rice growing, the largest in probably cattle rearing too, and now we are seeing where we are having an investment to harness that potential to make the cattle rearing business become more lucrative. So the farmers will have an opportunity so that they can come here and sell their produce to this plant. So this is a signal of this development shows that we are having development that are taking place right across our country in all the region. This investment is timely as imports of milk over the last decade have seen a lot of investment being made in importing milk and milk product in our country. And that is one, as I said, milk product represents almost 25% of Guyana's food import bill. And today when Guyana is leading the agri-food agenda in the Caribbean, I think this here will complement that what we are doing is to ensure that we reduce the food import bill in Guyana and also in the Caribbean.
The Agriculture Minister has been talking to the importance of Guyana adding value to its agricultural produce so as to ensure that our farmers enjoy the full wealth-generating benefits of the business of agriculture. Minister Dr. Singh, in his remarks, lauded the efforts of the investor, noting that it is encouraging that young members of the diaspora are returning to their homeland to invest in the country. When completed, the plant will be buying an annual estimate of $70 million in milk from dairy farmers in Regions 5 and 6. Minister Mustafa and Dr. Singh also joined in turning the sod to symbolically signal the start of the construction phase of the project. Construction is set to start around the second week in November. Finally, on This Week in Agriculture, the flood relief distribution exercise continued in Region 4 Saturday, with Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa spearheading distribution exercises at Lancaster and at Grove, both communities on the east coast of Demerara. At both locations, the minister urged the farmers to put the relief checks to good use in advancing their agricultural pursuits, assuring them of government's continuing
Well, that's all the time we have in this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. This Week in Agriculture is produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and Advertising based in East Berbice. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. Until next time then, be good to yourselves and to each other.